Hello, welcome and thanks for joining us for stage 3 of the Giro Rosa Ecrea as we bring you daily highlights here at Vox Women in partnership with Trek. Well, yesterday it was the very familiar face of Marianne Vos that came to the fore. Let's take a quick look now at how it happened. Stage 2 of the 2019 Giro Rosa started and finished in the beautiful town of View in northern Italy. Kasia Niewiadoma of Canyon SRAM had the privilege of wearing the pink jersey on the start line. As expected, everything came back together on the final climb up into the finish, with riders attacking off the front in the final kilometres. But in the end, it was former world champion Marianne Vos of CCC Liv who sprinted away from the peloton to claim the victory. There was no change at the top of the general classification, with Kasia Niewiadoma still in the Maglia Rosa, and another stage win for the 3-time Giro Rosa champion.
When we came in, we did a reckon with the bus, with our bus. So it seemed to be a real climb, but when the riders are still fresh, then the speed is really high. So we came in with a high speed until this final kilometer, and then it was the climbers, the pinchers, the GC riders that were together for the stage win, and yeah, it was a really nice finish.
Well, stage 3 will take us from Saliana Mica to Piet de Cavallo, and alongside me for the next 4 days is Iris Schlappendel. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, fine.
Now, I've lost count actually, to be honest. You've ridden the Giro Rosa many, many times. You must have some pretty good memories.
Yeah, I have a lot of good memories. I mean, it's always been one of the hardest races I've done. So it's a race that you look forward to race, and at the end you're always like, okay, I'm not going to race anymore next year because it's been so hard. But I think I've raced it 8 or 9 times, and yeah, I've been part of the winning team for multiple years, especially with Marianne Vos, and yeah, so a lot of good memories. And
you mentioned tough there, even tougher this year.
It's a really tough Giro this year, yes, it is. And I think the coming stages are going to be really decisive.
Definitely, we'll talk more about that in a moment, but looking back to stage 2 yesterday, Marianne Vos, I mean, that stage profile had her name all over it.
Yeah, of course the finish was like perfect suited for her, and yeah, she won in a very Marianne Vos kind of way. I don't know how to. I mean, everyone who saw it, I mean, it was how she attacks that final is amazing, and especially a rider like Lucinda Brandt, who became 3rd, who's also really good in this kind of finishes, just couldn't follow the wheel. So yeah, great finish by Marianne.
Very much so, super strong and just dominant, and brilliant to see her just display that.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to watch, definitely.
It certainly is. And now let's look at that general classification, because Kasia Niewiadoma is still in the pink jersey, but hearing from her at the team bus yesterday, she was saying, you know, I haven't necessarily looked across the 10 days at that GC, because she's saying that Van Vleuten is just unbeatable. Is she being realistic, or could we see some surprises as it plays out?
I think Van Vleuten definitely is the one to watch this year, but I would not underestimate Van der Breggen and also Niewiadoma. I think she has a strong team as well. She's in a good form. She's a bit of the underdog, so I mean that could play out well for her. And she's just, yeah, she's doing great the last few weeks, like seeing her racing in Britain, for example. So yeah, I think she likes to put herself a bit more in that underdog position, but we should definitely keep an eye on her.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that actually, very much so. Now let's look to today's stage. I know we've talked about it ramping up more and more as the 10 days go on, but what do you make of the profile today? Could it be a similar kind of play out to yesterday?
It could be a similar play out. I mean, the differences in the GC are actually already pretty big because of the team time trial. So riders like Van der Breggen and also Van Vleuten, I think they would like to already get some time back on, for example, Niewiadoma. So yeah, I think they want to make it a hard final, but I assume there will still be a pretty, like there will be still a group at the finish, and the last few, from what I've seen, it can be a bit technical still, the finish. So Yeah, maybe it's a bit boring, but I think we should write down Marianne Vos again for today.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that one. Thank you, Iris. We caught up with some of the riders ahead of the stage start, including our title sponsor, Trek.
Yeah, yesterday was okay. I mean, we tried to be in the game towards the finish with a good attack of Taylor, 1K to go, and in the end we had Ruth and Elisa, but with this kind of finish a bit left and right and stressed to be in the front, they lose a bit their position, and they try their best, but we are satisfied how the girls are feeling for first, and so today again we try to be up to the game, create something and see what the other team are doing and play a bit. It's still long to go, so I really want that the girls spare a lot of energy towards the really big days.
I think the team's looking really good for today's stage. It's not super long, about 100k, nice and flat, and then a 5k hill at the end to finish with, which suits our climbers and our GC riders really well. I'm feeling good, not fantastic. I'm here to be a bit of a worker, and so hopefully I can help the girls and lead them into a good position for that final climb.
In the end, it was a good day for us with Soraya getting 5th, and the next days we still try to go for the stage win. So if there's a possibility to go on a breakaway, I will be there.
Well, good to hear it from Trek Segafredo's Giorgia Bronzini there, of course, the Team DS. We mentioned before, not an ideal day in the team time trial for them, some frustrations, but we're going to see the profiles change very much going forward, so still a lot to do.
Yeah, that team time trial has been very important, of course, but I mean there are so many days to come, and yeah, but they have to race aggressive, and I think that's. I mean, they've been racing very aggressively the last few races, and it's been good for them. I mean, they've been very strong, Longa Borghini and also Lizzie Dijkman in the women's tour. I think they've changed their tactics a bit over the last few months by being more defensive to being more aggressive. And yeah, I think that's something that they should do the coming days.
Definitely, and Longa Borghini, of course, so popular with the crowds out there, the home crowds.
Yeah, especially racing in the north, and I mean it's also an amazing rider to watch. I mean, she's always, yeah, it's just a very entertaining rider. It's a lovely person, and yeah, popular amongst her colleagues and amongst the fans, I would say.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her come into action in those big mountains later in the week as well. Now, one of the big initiatives that, of course, Iris knows a lot about in the peloton is the Cyclists Alliance. We caught up with some of the riders earlier and what they make of it and the difference it's making in the peloton.
There are a lot of races for sure, and it's also showing that women's racing is growing and improving. But it's like the big teams with a lot of riders, it's hard to go to each race. So for sure it's nice to have a lot, but the teams also need to have more riders, and that's pretty hard to arrange.
In some races I think it should be a bit longer, some races I think it's good like it is. I think it improved a lot already the recent years, and yeah, if you see the races, I think they're quite interesting with this length, so I think it's okay.
I think the #1 priority for us, for women's cycling, is to have a lot more live coverage of the races. I think there's not enough at the moment. I think it is even a prerequisite, it's an obligation of World Tour racers to have the live coverage, and often it's only available in their country, which I'm sure is all that's the regulations to be World Tour, but I think they need to change. I think World Tour races should be available worldwide, and a lot of races have upped the prize money or given equal prize money to the men's, and that's great, but I think the first thing that needs to happen is the live coverage.
How did the initiative start for you?
Well, the initiative started with me and Gracie Elvin and Carmen Small, actually also with the help of Marianne Vos. I mean, we were both in some UCI commissions, Marianne and me. And I think there's been multiple reasons, but one of the main reasons is that we felt like women's cycling is changing, it's progressing, and we need to have a united voice in that change. We need to be part of that change. We need to be able to create our own future. And we've started with a survey to listen what are really the needs of the women's peloton, and that's been the base of our starting the alliance. And yeah, it's been a lot of work so far, but it's been also really rewarding, and I think we've already been able to make a bit of a change, and that's for a big part thanks to the women's peloton, because they've been so supportive, and I think they also feel like they're not alone in their fight anymore. So that's we have very positive approach, and I think that works well.
Yeah, it's really good to see. And from my sort of outside perspective, journalistically, I'm seeing the biggest changes with riders perhaps actually laying back, targeting a race like the Giro Rosa rather than having to field absolutely everything.
Yeah, no, that's true. You see that the whole peloton is sort of like growing up. I don't know how to explain it, but I mean, it's becoming more professional. The riders, the teams, how the races are organized. So that's all coming along. But we should not forget about, we see mostly is like the front of the peloton, of the races, of the the top riders. But it's a big peloton, and there are also a lot of riders in the lower ranked teams, for example, that are definitely struggling. And we need to look at the whole field of racing and try to develop it all together.
Iris, couldn't agree more. Thank you so much. For now, let's take a look back at everything that unfolded on stage 3.
Stage 3 of the Giro Rosa at Crea takes us over the course of 104.1 kilometres from Saliana Mica all the way through to Pied de Cavallo. And looking at that general classification, it is Kasia Niewiadoma who leads the way and wears that coveted, resplendent Maglia Rosa. And it is indeed Canyon SRAM Racing that, after a very, very strong opening team time trial, top out that first 3 on the general classification. In 4th at the moment, it's Uttrup Ludwig of Bigla Pro Cycling, another big GC contender. And then it's Voss who took the honours on stage 2 that follows her in that GC. Alongside me in commentary today is Iris Schlappendil, and we're just getting some scenes to set the start of stage 3. And this is just such a beautiful race, isn't it?
It is, and it's a beautiful region they're racing in, especially these days.
BTC City Ljubljana taking to the stage there, and Valkar Islands. We are seeing brilliant displays every time they take to that stage.
I don't know if it's still the same, but the years I was racing, every team could choose their own podium song, and you hear it every day, so it starts to get like your team song,
Oh, I love that. Was there a lot of discussion about what song to go for?
Yeah.
Did you get your way?
No, never.
Never. Euro target Bianchi at Vittoria. Their time to sign on. Big smiles this morning at the stage 3 start. Brilliant to see so many crowds out at the stage start this morning as the riders roll up and make their way to the sign-on and that stage presentation. And there's just such a sense of occasion here in Italy, isn't there, around this race, and indeed the longest stage race on the Women's World Tour calendar.
True. It depends a little bit to the region where the Giro is at the moment. But overall, I could say there are always quite big crowds coming to watch the start and finish and along the course. And it's a race that becoming more and more like it lives among the people there. So it's good. It's really nice for the riders to see the decoration and to see the people alongside the course.
Vale Cipollini, next to sign on this morning.
Yeah, they have a pretty good team for this Giro, especially with Paladin. So it's a rider to watch for the GC.
Yeah, and a big showing from Romy Kasper yesterday as well. An interesting stage and some big moves there from people that really wanted to show out on the front there for their team. Just seeing Movistar.
With the Spanish, whatever. How do you call this thing? Spanish handkerchief?
I don't know the official term. I'm going to have to check that and come back to you, Iris. I'm not sure handkerchief's the right word, but we'll go for that for now. Team Sunweb turning on now. Good day for them yesterday as well for Sunweb.
Yeah. Flabou in the young riders jersey, and here the best Italian rider, Longoborghini.
Yeah, Elisa Longoborghini in that blue jersey, of course, as you say, Iris, the best Italian rider. Such a strong team coming in this year, and just getting a glimpse of Kasia Niewiadoma in the pink jersey. Looking very focused as we see her come in. You know, she doesn't sort of rest on her laurels in any way, does she, when she's had a stage success? It's all about looking forward.
That's true, and I would say in Kasia is always a pretty relaxed rider to have in the team as well. She's been my teammate for a few years, and she's always super relaxed, but I guess there's some pressure at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting to get your insight from the peloton, because when I'm chatting to her sort of pre and post stage, she always seems very, very calm in every situation, really.
Well, Kasia was my teammate at Rabobank, and it was her very first year racing internationally, so she was a bit nervous at times, and I especially know the first race she did with us, she was super nervous, but I mean, I would say in general she's a pretty relaxed and calm person.
Yeah, always seems very chill, and obviously always getting the big results, as we see the rider in the points jersey, Marianne Vos, who of course took a stunning stage victory yesterday. We're just having a little look there at what lies ahead. Over the 104.1 kilometres of stage 3, we've sort of had a look at this and said it could have some similar scenarios to yesterday. By no means is any stage really flat throughout these 10 days. There's still some significant ramps, as we can see now, but a little bit more descending towards the beginning and some flatter sections in the middle there.
Yeah, we go through a valley. We pass the start again, and then we have that long drag up to the finish, and especially the finish streets are very technical with that typical cobbled section towards the line. Yeah, it could be a good day for a break, but I don't think a break will make it. I mean, we're too early in the Giro to have the break let go, but I mean, there will be, I'm sure there will be people trying to get away.
Certainly, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But let's have a little look at the jerseys that we're seeing, of course, line up at the front. It's Kasia Niewiadoma who tops that general classification, but we've got these other jerseys for anyone following cycling for the first time. The pink jersey, of course, Amalia Rosa is with Canyon Schramm and Niewiadoma. The points jersey is on the shoulders of Marianne Vos. The young jersey, which is white, is Juliette Labou of Sunweb. Queen of the Mountain is Sophie de Voist of Park Hotel, and overall the team leaders are, unsurprisingly, Team Canyon Schramm. But let's talk a little bit about the dynamics of a breakaway when we're looking at this point in the race, because there are many reasons that riders would go for it, and not always the expected ones, but really just following some team orders, making sure that they get that exposure, and it is really important for the sport.
Yeah, you always see, especially the Italian teams and the Italian riders trying to get in a break to get that exposure, but most of all to try to race for the stage win, of course, even though it's really hard at this point of the race. But yeah, I mean, they have to make the race entertaining, and I mean, that's racing. You always believe you always have to believe you go for a stage victory. And I get, especially with such a hard Giro, there are not so many stages like this where it would be possible to have a break and have not like not be that super climber. I mean, for me as a rider, this would have already been maybe a too hard stage to like put a mark on in the road book. Like, oh, this would be a stage that I would go for, try to get it into a break. But I think there are some riders that are that this kind of stage would suit them.
Yeah, and it's interesting looking at the teams because we talk a lot about the general classification, of course, but then you are going to have riders that look at a stage race that is this severe in the amount of climbing and pinpoint, what could I go for? What can I do with the team? And actually, you know, those stage wins, those stage victories are so coveted and important equally. Having another look at that profile. Another one that's not straightforward. And it is Taylor Wiles of Trek Segafredo, who looks like she is out front at the moment. Just looking for confirmation of some time gaps and what the state of play is out on the road. We'll update you on that in just a moment.
You see that she's got like a little panty bag attached to that bidon with ice, so she can put it in her neck. It's just a really smart thing to do.
Well,
this temperatures.
Yeah, I mean, the heat has been such a massive element, and we're just getting a glimpse of Taylor Wiles, and it looks like it's Eugenia Bujak of BTC City Ljubljana that is out there, and is actually, Wiles, I think, chasing her down, it looks like. We'll wait for confirmation of those time gaps. But something we've talked about a lot over the last couple of days, with Alice in commentary as well, is that a lot of the riders have the ice vests on before, but actually what you were saying is really interesting because it's quite a budget way of making sure you can actually take some cooling methods out on the road.
Yeah, of course, you always try to cool yourself down in these temperatures, and you can do that by splashing your bottle of water over your head. But I mean, having this little panty sock of ice cream, not ice cream.
Oh, that sounds
that
amazing!
Would be nice, actually.
So the team cars just bring up the ice cream, and that's the motivating factor, Iris. I like the sound of that.
Well, I think Taylor Wiles would go really well on ice cream. Cookie dough ice cream, probably. Yeah,
well, we'll get confirmation on that one later as well. But we are, of course, with Taylor Wiles of Trek Segafredo.
Anyway, she is going really well, and she is that kind of rider that could have marked this stage because she is a good climber. She's a very aggressive rider. She's always good in a solo break. She won a very impressive way a stage in the Bira this year with a solo attack. And same count for Bujak, who's in front at the moment, the Slovenian rider. Always trying to be in a break. Not someone who wins loads of races, but she's there around for already a lot of years. And good rider. Yeah, certainly. We're seeing a lot of experience, obviously, with the teams that have been so specifically picked, the 6-rider teams for this year's Giro Rosa. And it is fascinating because you've got the strength and depth of the teams like Trek Segafredo, Mitchelton Scott as well, proving last year with Amanda Spratt on that podium as well as the overall winner. So the situation out on the road is Eugenia Bujak that's actually been out there quite a long time on her own, and it is the peloton bearing down on her with a look over her shoulder, and she knows that this is going to be absorbed now. Which makes the racing a little bit confusing, I think, is that Annemiek van Vleuten that we see here in the middle of the pack with the yellow helmet is wearing the leader's jersey of the Women's World Tour, which is the same color as the points jersey of the Giro. But this is definitely a different ranking. Right, so confirmation. It is Taylor Wiles of Trek Segafredo that is out front now on a solo breakaway with the peloton chasing behind. We saw Bujak that had been out on the first big attack of the day, getting quite some significant gap. It was Taylor that chased her down, and then Bujak has actually come back with the podium as Taylor's actually taken it away and pounced on that move and gone beyond. So the situation is 12.6 kilometres and
chasing group behind is at 40 seconds. This is impressive.
Yeah, this is impressive. This is a really, really good gap for Taylor Wiles. I mean, it's still quite far, 12k uphill. 40 seconds isn't that much, but you know, you never know what's happening behind. Who is gonna lead the chase? She's not super dangerous for the GC, I would say, so.
Yeah, let's have a little look at the situation of the GC. So it was Taylor Wiles of Trek Segafredo Women that came in 18th in the GC this morning. Looking at those time gaps as well, 1 minute 19. And that's what comes into play, isn't it? When the peloton has that mind on the GC, I guess it's who's the danger, how much do we let them get? What are the kind of perceptions with that as to when something really, really does become a danger move?
Well, for sure they know how much time and they hear how much time Taylor is behind in the GC, and then they're also going to calculate, like, is she going to be a danger in the coming days, and if they're gonna chase, then they don't want to chase her too fast, because then there will be another dangerous rider that's gonna try to break away very, very deep in the final, which could be even more important for the GC.
Just getting a glimpse of this peloton now at 51 seconds to Taylor Wiles. And you mentioned the jerseys there, and it's very important that we keep pointing these out because, of course, things change all the time. We've got a lot of national champions newly crowned in the bunch this week because that's obviously recently happened. But we're also looking at very similar colours for Annemiek van Vleuten in the World Tour Leaders jersey. And seeing a move go on the left of the screen. Hannah Barnes of Canyon SRAM leading the pack at the moment. All the big teams representing there.
Yeah, but you see Canyon SRAM is taking the responsibility. They're protecting Kasia, and they're just going steady pace up the climb. But I mean, the lead is growing right now from Taylor Wiles, so.
Yeah, 11.7k to go, and that gap is up to 54 seconds. So it's sort of going out a little bit at the moment. Uma Shapira there in the top 3 of the GC coming in this morning.
Still a pretty big bunch, and I mean, of course, we see all the favorites in the front. Anna van der Breggen in her World Champions jersey.
Yep, a very recognisable, easy jersey to spot in that peloton as we see Taylor Wiles. 54 seconds with 11.4k remaining of this stage, which was 104.1 kilometres in its entirety. Pied de Cavallo is where that finish line will be, and this is the state of play on the road. Taylor Wiles out on a solo breakaway after Eugenia Bujak of BTC City Ljubljana made a very, very big break early on, but it was Taylor that caught her, pounced, and then took the race on from the front.
Yeah, I think Taylor Wiles is really having a great season this year so far. She's been important domestique in the team, next to her own victory in the Bira. But also, we saw her being very important in the win of her teammate Ruth Winder at the national championships in the United States last week.
Definitely, and a brilliant season, of course. Lizzie Dijkman taking the win in the last Women's World Tour race, the OVO Energy Women's Tour, and that was, you know, tremendously special for the team, but for the sport, and seeing her come back after having her first child, Orla, I mean, for me, chatting to her after that, that was very emotional all round.
No, I think it's very, I really enjoyed watching that, and I think it's very inspirational, and there are a few moms in the peloton, and that's, I think I've so much respect for how they all do that.
Not an easy job.
Definitely not.
Really not. You can just see Amanda Spratt, centre of the screen at the moment. Mitchelton Scott, incredible force to be reckoned with. And Once again, Canyon SRAM, led by Hannah Barnes. Just as you say, Iris, looking after their GC leader, Kasia Niewiadoma. When we're looking at these gradients, it's one thing, isn't it, saying, right, what's the elevation gain? What do we expect to happen? But I think it's one thing looking at a road book, isn't it? And one thing actually when you're wrecking the roads, when you're seeing them and you're looking at the technical elements, and we're going to have everything thrown at the riders towards the end today, aren't we, in the way of cobbles and twists and turns and that technical aspect.
Yeah, I think the Giro has improved over the last few years when it comes to the road book, but, well, I could say from my experience, most of the time you could just as well throw the whole road book away, because most of the time, like, everything what's in the road book was not like what's in the race when it came to kilometers or gradients or finishes. But, you know, it was always a bit of a race full of surprises. And I think that's also one of the keys why riders like Marianne Vos are so successful, because that's a rider who is very, very good in being like flexible and just, you know, racing on instinct. Well, I've also been teammate with Emma Pooley, and we also raced for the overall victory in this race. While was a way better climber at that moment than Marianne Vos, but maybe a bit more difficulty with that racing on instinct. But I mean, the Giro Rosa organization has definitely improved over the last few years, and I mean, the teams have become way more professional. So I know a lot of riders and teams that did a reckon of stages and finishes, and so yeah, they should know a little bit better what to expect at the finish today and in the coming days.
Yeah, and Annemiek van Vleuten, of course, defending champion, she has said actually openly how much she has recce'd these roads. She's taken significant blocks at altitude, and she's come into this with that intention. You know, there's no kind of just coming into this race incidentally. It's all very, very carefully planned out when it comes to her and the team. Yeah,
definitely. This is for Annemiek one of the main goals of the year. And she's really, really well prepared. I was at the national championships a week ago, and I saw her winning the time trial, and it was just impressive. She won with over 1.5 minutes to Anna van Dijk on a flat course, and yeah, it was just super impressive. So, I mean, if she can keep that shape, and I'm sure she will. She has a strong team here as well, with especially Amanda Spread and Lucy Kennedy, two top climbers with her. And then with Sarah Roy, for example, and Monique Tanninglow, two really, really strong domestiques.
Yeah, incredibly impressive roster. As we are back at the head of the race with Taylor Wiles, 44 seconds.
She is strong out there.
Yeah, 8.1 kilometers to go. She is looking incredibly strong out there. What do you reckon?
I don't know.
Throwing it to you there.
Yeah.
Just incredible smooth pedaling style, as we'd expect.
I think the disadvantage for Wiles is that it's not like a steep climb. It's still more of a drag, and the peloton is definitely in an advantage right now. I mean, it's Canyon SRAM pulling, but as you know, if the leaders of the teams behind are really going for it, then the gap will come down pretty quickly.
Brilliant work here from Hannah Barnes of Canyon SRAM. So with Taylor Wiles out front for Trek Segafredo, the situation in the race for them at the moment, they've got Elisa Longo Borghini, who's 13th in that GC at the moment, but also Reef Winder, one position behind him, 14th. You know, they're in a good position with just 3 days in.
Yes, they are. I mean, everything can still pretty open. And you see now also because the stages haven't been like so hard, that there's still a lot of like the more domestic kind of riders are high up in the GC after the team time trial, and they will one by one lose that position in the coming days. I mean, if you see the girls of Canyon SRAM, if they're gonna have to do this for a few more days, then they probably lose minutes and in the final of the race.
Yeah, for anyone following the racing for the first time on this level of women's World Tour cycling, tell us a bit about the responsibility of having the leader's jersey and what that means the team has to dictate.
Well, it means most of all a lot of, like controlling the race. And with controlling the race, we mean like you always have to keep your leader in the position that it can maintain her lead overall, or still be in the race for the stage victory, for example. You never want to have that gap so big that you lose the pink jersey. And it's just, I mean, it's not all there's always this game as well. If you know that, for example, in this race, Canyon SRAM could also say like, well, we don't have the biggest favorite for the race, so we're looking to other teams like maybe Trek or Mitchelton Scott or Bulls to help us or to do the chase. But that's always a risk, because if they don't, then Taylor Wiles is going to win anyway. So, does this answer your question?
It does. It does. It's absolutely brilliant to have you here for that insight of exactly what it's like, because there will be people following this for the first time, and just understanding that intricacy of how the bunch works, I think, is fascinating. We've got some very big dominant teams here. We spoke in our chat earlier about some of the smaller teams, some of the smaller Italian teams. When they're further back, it's a tremendously difficult 10 days for them as well.
I mean, I've been the domestique of for example, Emma Pooley or Marianne Vos for many years, and I've been riding a lot in the front, and it's not just riding in the front or like following attacks. It's also getting bottles, make sure your leader is safe, that she's in a good position, that she has enough to drink, to eat, whatever. It's a little bit like babysitting, and some team leaders need more babysitting than others. I mean, Marianne Vos was someone who was very easy to look after. With others, it was a bit more work. But I mean, I guess that's I really enjoyed doing it. Actually, I think it's a very rewarding job, and it's really special if your leader can win a race like the Giro. And it really creates that feeling of camaraderie, if you're working towards a goal, and if your team leader also can make it feel like a team effort.
Taylor Wiles, Trek Segafredo, you can just see her gritting her teeth now, but she's still got a convincing 33-second gap with 5.9 kilometres to go. This is an absolutely stunning ride from the rider from the Trek team. And teamwork. It's all about the team at the end of the day, and I hear time and time again when you do the post-race chats and the interviews, it's not just about the person on that podium. It's everything you've spoken about.
Yeah, it's definitely teamwork. I mean, it's a bit like a cliche, and it's a little bit boring of people always like thanking their teammates. But you need your teammates, and it's always that one person finishing it off at the end, or not, but
Yeah, that pressure's there.
Yeah,
certainly.
And it's not just in the race, it's also around the race. It's the atmosphere in the team, it's having the confidence, it's having the the more relaxed moments after the race in the bus or before the race. There's always this person in the team that creates like a funny atmosphere or is making the jokes, and there's always the other one who's been a bit more serious, and I think that's really the cool thing of I really see it as a team sport.
And that's so important when the pressure is on at a race of this level, you need a joker in the pack, I can imagine, as well.
Yeah.
So it's Hannah Barnes of Canyon Strand once again doing the work on the front of the peloton here, and it's Taylor Wiles of Trek Segafredo that is still out front as we approach these closing kilometres of stage 3 from Saliana Mica to Pie di Carvalho, 104.1 kilometres of course in entirety, and we are coming towards those closing stages now. We can see the big teams amassing here in the bunch. Bigla, they are riding for their GC leader Cecily Uttrup-Ludwig, and she is currently sat in 4th position in that general classification. 3.9 kilometres to go to the conclusion of stage 3 here at the Giro Rosa Icrea. That gap is hovering around 20 seconds for Taylor Wiles of Trek Segafredo. Can just start to see the rocking of the shoulders. She's just been so smooth throughout, and what a brilliant, brilliant ride.
Yeah, but they have her now inside, and this is killing. This is killing for Taylor, and yeah, I think there will be attacks coming from the bunch. I mean, you were just talking about how great it was that Marianne Vos is back in such a great shape and such a good level, and she's still there in the bunch. So, I mean, what are we gonna see of her today? I'm sure she will be up there. But there's still a bit of climbing to go, and I think that last few kilometers are the steepest as well.
Yeah, we do see a more significant ramp up to the finish. You know, average-wise, perhaps not too dissimilar to what we've seen so far, but actually that finish is once again not a straightforward one. Quite a ramp up into that finish, and there will of course be riders that don't want to have to sprint, the likes of Vos. So we could quite likely see some interesting moves as the bunch approaches and closes down that gap on Taylor Wiles after a stunning day out there for her.
But you see what's happening, where we just talked about it, is that there are riders from the teams of Bulls Dolmans and Mitchelton Scott helping out the chase. We just saw Carol Ann Canuel, the newly Canadian champion of Bulls Dolmans.
Bulls Dolmans, yeah, always such a strong team, always. That gap at 19 seconds.
And it's the big last squad here. Still with 5 girls in front. I mean, on paper they don't have like a super impressive team, but I mean what they've shown so far is definitely impressive. So
yeah, incredibly impressive from them so far, and yeah, a very interesting team. And I, for one, can't wait to see Uttrup-Ludwig once we see the big mountains later on in this stage race. Still at the head of the action with 3 kilometres to go. It is Taylor Wiles of Trek. Just head down, gritting her teeth. 15 seconds is that gap with 3K to go. We just start to see the twists and turns that we've talked about as we approach this run-in towards the finish. I think that's pretty much what we expect to see in this part of northern Italy, isn't it? Yeah, there's not very many roads that are plain sailing, flat, not twisty. And it's Bigler there amassing in formation on the front of that chasing peloton. Mitchelton Scott to the right of the screen. And a big injection of pace there.
that's Lucy Kennedy of Mitchelton Scott.
So
that's a good attack. Wow.
Big move from Lucy Kennedy with 2.7 kilometres to go. We've talked a lot about the strength in Mitchelton Scott, and it's Kennedy that takes her time to go. And actually, it was once again her yesterday that really went for it about the same point on stage 2 and just absolutely pounced. We know who they've got in there in GC contention. We've talked about how important it is to go for these stages as well, and she's quite similarly to yesterday. She's gone for it again. So she's bearing down now on Taylor Wiles, who once again grits her teeth, look over the shoulder to see the state of play on the road behind. So we have the peloton chasing with Bigler leading that chase on the front. Then it is Lucy Kennedy of Mitchelton Scott, and it's Taylor Wiles from Trek Segafredo there, just knowing that Kennedy is bearing down on her.
2K to go, and this Lucy Kennedy, she is a world-class climber. I mean, she doesn't race for very long yet, but I mean, I'm a big fan of this rider. I think she has a huge future. I mean, she's already 30 years old, but just started racing a few years ago.
So we mentioned two of her teammates up there in that GC, but also up there is indeed Lucy Kennedy. She's 12 overall after 2 stages coming in today with 1.7 kilometres to go. At that injection of pace, she looks over her shoulder. She's pounced past Taylor Wiles. And actually, this is a very, very big and impressive attack with just 1.6 to go now. This could be the big move of stage 3.
Yeah, this could be it. She is very determined.
A very, very good climber, as you say.
She won the Durango this year, which is a really hard race in Spain.
A team very, very well suited to the slopes of northern Italy, and she took the absolute perfect opportunity there.
And you see it in the bunch, they're a little bit hesitating right now. And that's the advantage of being in a team like Mitchelton Scott. You know, Annemiek van Vleuten is their designated leader, but I mean, everyone's looking at her. So Lucy Kennedy is taking advantage of that.
Absolutely. We saw her do exactly this yesterday. Big, big moves. She can do this on these gradients. Just that climbing prowess is just so impressive to see.
Former triathlete, good time trial rider, so she can ride by herself. She had a lot of bad luck last year with 2 major crashes. One actually in the Amstel Gold race that took her out with a lot of broken bones, and then just as she got back, she crashed in stage 4 of the Giro. And she got back just in time before World Championships, I think, where she did really well.
It always astounds me how quickly we see riders come back from these crashes.
They have a lot of that spirit to fight back, and I think that's typical for cyclists. This is not really a nice moment for Taylor Wiles, but she had a great ride.
Yeah, brilliant ride out there today on stage 3 from Taylor Wiles of Trek Segafredo, as she is caught by the peloton.
And you see Van Vleuten and Amanda Spratt, they're just sitting in front of the peloton and protecting their teammates. Just got 1K to go.
We have just passed the 1K to go banner, and it is Lucy Kennedy of Mitchelton Scott that is out front, and she has 18 seconds with just 0.9K to go of this stage 3 here at the Giro Rosa. And this is a very exciting state of play out on the road. We saw Wiles out there, and it was Lucy Kennedy that took her time to pounce, as we just see the chasing peloton coming through that 1K to go banner, and you can just see how much this climb is kicking up. But it's Kennedy that looks over her shoulder, and that gap coming in to the end is looking very, very good for her indeed.
I think this should be enough. This could be enough. I mean, it really depends on what's happening behind it. I wouldn't be surprised if someone else would gonna chase and attack. Then it would be Van Vleuten and Spread on. You see, they're on the wheel.
They know how dangerous this is, and this is ramping up. Everybody is becoming incredibly aware that this could be the winning move of the day. And once again, we see Canyon SRAM. We've got all the teams that have got their massive interests in bringing this back, really inject the pace. You can see Amanda Spratt there, teammate, of course, of Lucy Kennedy, 3rd last year in the Giro Rosa, and that gap is 10 seconds with just 500 metres to go into this line. This is absolutely incredible from Kennedy. Another day for her where she has absolutely shaken things up in this closing kilometre.
But we see Marianne Vos still up there, Annemiek van Vleuten is still up there, Ashley Molman is still up there, so Nima Doma is there.
400 metres to go, 300 metres to go now. She has got that significant gap still, but it is all to play for in this gradient. I mean, look how much this is kicking up.
200-meter sign. Van Vleuten and Spread are doing a great job up here, trying to take the speed a little bit out of that group, but
so we can see Van Vleuten there, defending champion Vos, tucked behind her. As mentioned, Marianne Vos, a big move from Vos on the left-hand side of the screen, and she comes around Van Vleuten. She is in that points jersey, and she has absolutely picked it up on this final run into the line. Has she left it too late? It's Kennedy out front. It's Kennedy coming up towards the finish. But it's Vos! Marianne Vos just pips Lucy Kennedy of Mitchelton Scott on the line. I mean, Lucy Kennedy went for the salute there, but did Vos get that? My goodness,
yeah, she got
that
it.
was close. Look to me, and here is that Marianne Vos. Let's just look at that again, because Kennedy looks over her shoulder. She has fought every step to this line. She pounced at the perfect time. She puts her arm in the air.
she thinks she has it, and I mean, I thought she had it.
We thought she had it, but look at that lunge to the line from Marianne Vos. And that's Uttrup Ludwig, Cecily Uttrup Ludwig, that comes in third place, and Annemiek just behind them. Let's have a look at this replay. Oh my goodness. That pace from Vos was just quite staggering.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, this is, yeah, it's typical Marianne Vos, but still, you can't believe what you're seeing.
Oh, what a ride from Lucy Kennedy. But that lunge to the line, the pace when she came round that final turn, and you wouldn't have expected her to make that ground from that final turn. What a finish.
Oh, that poor girl. Oh, I really feel for her.
Yeah, what a ride.
Yeah.
What a ride out there today.
She's gonna play this over and over and over in her head tonight.
Yeah.
She's gonna ride that finish like 50 more times at least.
But we were in agreement with Kennedy. We thought she'd taken it there.
Yeah.
But with the likes of Vos, with that turn of speed.
Yeah, but who, you know, it was like a...
So, confirmation of that result. It was Marianne Vos that indeed pipped Kennedy to the line. Very last minute there, and it's Uttrup Ludwig of Bigla in third. And they were followed by Annemiek van Vleuten, the defending champion of Mitchelton Scott. Ashley Mormon-Passier there in fifth, and Lucinda Brand, Soraya Paladin following that. Great riding from those two as well. So that general classification looks like this. It is Nivedoma, and just 4 seconds adrift there is Marianne Vos.
Yeah, of course, he's taking all the bony seconds. And Nivedoma lost some seconds on the finish as well.
Sprint, I actually thought, well, this is all or nothing, and but I actually thought it was going to be too late because it was such a big gap still with Lucy. But then, yeah, we entered this final 100 meters on the cobbles, on the pavé, and then a steep last bit. And yeah, when Lucy put her arm in the air, I just had more speed and I came around, so it was crazy. But yeah, indeed, it was heartbreaking for Lucy.
Number 23 in the Giro, it's a long story.
Yeah, it's incredible. Of course, now I'm just looking day by day, and to get my second stage win in this Giro, it's already incredible. And yeah, over the time 23, I can't really believe.
Yeah, right on the line. So the feeling when I saw Marianne there out of the corner of my eye as I thought I'd got the win was pretty heartbreaking. But I think when the dust settles, I'll be pretty happy with my ride. You know. Yeah, obviously my legs are really good. Had a good late attack yesterday and then another one today, so it shows that I'm in good form, and you know it's helping Annemiek as well for me to be going on these late attacks. It sets it up well for her to make the final hard. So you know, a good day but not a great day.
It was a nice day. I mean, I was enjoying entire stage. the last final climb wasn't as steep as I was expected. So yeah, there were a lot of situations happening. I'm really happy that I managed to keep the pink jersey, and I do believe that we're having like 7 more very brutal stages ahead of us, because yeah, it's a hard racing here.
Well, Marianne Vos takes to the podium with her stage victory here on stage 3.
She almost felt sorry, I think, that she passed Lucy Kennedy.
Yeah, a tremendous second stage win for Vos, just showing what she can do and how dominant she is when she really puts that turn of speed in. It's incredible to watch, and actually hearing Lucy Kennedy already, I think, reflecting very well, and already quite balanced in how she's viewing that. You know, not an easy situation, heartbreaking, as it was mentioned by Marianne and Lucy herself. But yeah, that reflection already coming into play. You know, the Women's World Tour peloton at that level, you must be very used to having to look forward all the time and actually realise what a ride that was. As Vos just takes that points jersey as well. Previously saw Kasia Niewiadoma take the pink.
And Juliette Labou still in the young riders jersey.
Brilliant classification, isn't it? Having the white jersey to recognise the young riders in this race. And Elisa Longo Borghini in the blue Italian jersey.
The flowers are a bit small today.
So we're just taking a look back at the replay and highlights of how it unfolded here over stage 3. 104.1 kilometres from Saliana Mica to Via de Cavallo. And it was Taylor Wiles that we saw out on her own for a long time today. Trek Segafredo, incredibly strong force to be reckoned with. Brilliant season for them. And Canyon SRAM showing heavily on the front of that peloton, as expected, with their teammate Kasia Niewiadoma defending that Maglia Rosa with 3 days into this race. A lot of interest in bringing back Wiles with what was an incredibly strong ride. And this is the point that we saw Lucy Kennedy of Mitchelton Scott not just come up to Taylor Wiles, but catch her, pounce past with what looked like the winning move of the day.
She really timed it very well, the attack. And yeah, it's the only thing that she didn't time very well is the finish. But I mean, that's the specialty of this lady, and
yes.
I mean, all credits to her for having such a strong attack in that last few hundred meters, being able to bridge.
We're just seeing that moment again. I think Vos herself, and you can hear the reaction there. Everybody was thinking exactly the same as we were thinking, and Lucy Kennedy was thinking that it was hers. And just look at the reaction of Kennedy there. But like you've said, you know, when Marianne Vos goes, there's not much getting around that sort of prowess in a sprint, but we can just see the you know, the moment of heartbreak for Lucy Kennedy. But she's already reflecting on that. It doesn't take away from how brilliant she was out there today, and what, you know, a staggering move that was. And we're just looking at that general classification. Kasia Niewiadoma, Vos, and Uttrup Ludwig in those first 3 possessions now. Yet again, a very hot day in Italy. Stunning scenery, not that the peloton are looking
probably
at that
paying
very
attention,
much.
No. No, the peloton is just want to cool down and recover and probably move on.
Well, we're just cooling down in commentary after that, aren't we? Marianne Vos, what can you say about that? That pure
turn of speed that she's got. I mean,
yeah. It was pretty amazing. I mean, you know she can do this kind of stuff, but still, I think Lucy Kennedy didn't expect it. We didn't expect it. I don't know. I think the people at the finish there didn't expect it. I mean, I really feel for Lucy Kennedy, but what Marianne Vos did there was just amazing.
It certainly was. I mean, let's look at what that's done for the general classification, because Vos would have moved up.
Yeah, of course she gets the 10 boni seconds compared to Nima Doma, who finished a little bit behind. I think she lost a few seconds there at the line, but she's still in pink. Marianne is moving up, and I saw Annemiek van Vleuten was there in the front as well. So she's up there all the time, and I think you know, there's these little changes, and as we said at the beginning of the stage, it's still a long week. There's still a few days to go. A lot can change, but you see that the GC is getting coming down now, at least in the top there. So they're getting closer to each other.
Certainly, and it is early days, but we are seeing everyone we'd expect to be there or thereabouts towards the top now.
And you shouldn't remember that Marianne Vos has not really set her eyes on the overall. I mean, she's just, but if you get every day, well, at least for 2 days in a row now, those 10 boni seconds, that's going to make a big difference. But actually, they're racing for Ashley Moman-Pasio this week, so, and she was still up there as well. So, yeah, it's going to be an exciting days to come. But this finish was. Yeah,
I mean, we were a little bit speechless there, weren't we? Because it looked like Kennedy had it. We thought she had it. She thought she had it. But you know, reflecting already, isn't she?
It's a bit of a flashback to La Course actually from last summer. That you also think, Van der Breggen has won, and then suddenly there was Annemiek van Vleuten winning the stage. So. I mean, I would say how exciting is women's cycling, that it's so unpredictable.
It really, really is, and we say it's unpredictable, but on both of those occasions, today and back at La Course, you would have looked, certainly from a commentating perspective, you can't make that ground in that time, but proven wrong on both occasions.
Yeah, that's correct, and I think that seeing the reaction of Marianne Vos, she even didn't expect it herself.
She thought she'd left it too late.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
It is interesting. And tomorrow's stage profile, could it be another one for Vos?
It could be another one for Vos. I think tomorrow is the only sort of easiest stage of this Giro.
Flat.
Sort of flat stage. The only day that I think those sprinters that are at the Giro, well, there aren't so many. Have marked in the road book. So yeah, who knows? It could be a good day for Marianne Vos. It could also be a day for someone like Kirsten Wild, one of the top sprinters here. Yeah, I would say for sure another day for the Dutchies, but you never know. There are some other good riders around but I think for the GC riders it will be, sort of a quiet day.
Well, what a day stage 3 proved to be. We'll be back together here in the studio tomorrow with more action from the Giro Rosa Creia. Join us then. Bye-bye.